Jordan here with ThatHumble Wrestling, ThatHumble.com, Twitter. Check me out. It's at Jordan_Verge. And I am not alone for this edition of WORKRATE. Who am I joined by?
You're joined by Ted on Twitter at TedGITD.
And WORKRATE, it's a show where we take a look at some of the best matches in wrestling history. And in this inaugural edition of WORKRATE, we're taking a look at a match that took place on this week, OTW, 22 years ago at No Mercy 1999. It's the New Brood, Jeff and Matt Hardy with Gangrel versus Edge and Christian in the first ever tag team ladder match. And Ted, what was this for?
It was for $100,000 and the managerial contract of Terri Runnels.
Specifically, the managerial services of Terri Runnels. What? What are they competing for? First of all, like, I get the idea of like, oh, and you're competing to have Terri as your manager. They could say that, but the way they were like just going wild. Jerry Lawler was so horny. What was up with this?
I don't understand. Okay, listen. Full transparency, I watched this last night, this morning, if you want to say, at like 1:30 in the morning. I work overnights.
Yeah.
I was eating my dinner, right? I made some beef and broccoli, some fried rice. It was a frozen meal. I put it in the microwave and I start eating it while I watch this match. I had to put my beef and broccoli to the side because I was so disgusted by Jerry the King Lawler. This man was ridiculous. He made me not eat my dinner when I wanted to.
Yeah.
I had to put it to the side and reheat it later because this man was wild.
Jerry was on X Games mode. Did you watch this segment right before this match?
The one with King and Runnels?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was essentially something from Sunday Night Heat where Jerry Lawler was hanging out with Terry, and Terry was on this ladder, and Jerry was like, hey, in more words, hey, climb up this so I can look up your fucking skirt.
Yeah.
And then he went on for 16 minutes and 30 seconds to talk about seeing Terri Runnels.
Yeah. So this was dubbed as the first ever tag team ladder match in WWE. I thought that was exciting. I guess I never realized that until I watched it, that this was the first one. And it's going to be first of many.
Yeah. And these two teams, they really just like went on to like make an entire genre.
Career.
Yeah. Like if this is the first tag team ladder match, I know at WrestleMania 2000, it's the triple threat ladder match. Yeah. And then that SummerSlam is TLC 1. Going over the rest of the card in No Mercy, we had the Godfather versus Midian, the Fabulous Moolah defeating Ivory for the Women's Championship.
What?
The Hollies defeating the New Age Outlaws by disqualification.
Okay.
China versus Jeff Jarrett in a good housekeeping match for the Intercontinental Championship. The Rock beat the British Bulldog. And then we had this match, the New Brood, Jeff and Matt Hardy, with Gangrel. They defeated Edge and Christian in a ladder match for the managerial services of Terri Runnels and $100,000. After that, first of all, how do you top this? Well, Val Venus and Mankind, they're going to top it. It's Val Venus defeating Mankind. X-Pac defeated Bradshaw, Farouk, and Kane in a four corners elimination match. And then our main event, it was an Anything Goes match for the WWE Championship. Triple H defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin. But leaving this card, this ladder match was probably the talk of the town.
Oh, it had to be. It was so, the match itself was great. The commentary was weird.
I kind of want to watch it back, but maybe on mute, because maybe that's something that I could probably enjoy it a little bit more. This was October 17th, 1999, Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know if you caught that.
The land.
Yeah, it's in the Gund Arena, which is now the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, in front of 18,742
Same floor LeBron
people.
graced.
Do you have any This is, your home arena. Do you have any memories of the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse?
I was there once when it was the Q, Quicken Loans Arena. That was pretty fun.
Okay.
That's about it.
So this is the Terri Runnels Invitational Tournament, which, first of all, this isn't
Birch,
what a
what's the
tournament
acronym
is.
there?
It's TIT, all right? This is them.
There it is.
They just wanted to be like, hey, tits. And also, it's the Terri Runnels Invitational Tournament. Don't you think it should be the TRIT?
Yeah.
The TRIT? At the very beginning, bell rings. JR, it means tit.
JR right away says managerial contract, but Jerry has to change it. Managerial contract, managerial services.
So this is the TIT, the Terri Invitational Tournament.
Yeah.
Generally, what is a tournament to you? Okay.
Like a bracket or something.
There is no bracket. It was just these two teams.
Well, that was really.
Yeah, it was a best of 5. Between these two, with this being the 5th matchup. But yeah, no, it was just the Terri Invitational Tournament. It's not even like, this wasn't even like a traditional tournament. It was just these two teams in a best of 5, and they just wanted to say tit. They couldn't say
Absolutely.
the Terri Invitational best of 5, because what's that? The TIBOF? That's not something funny.
I think it was early on, because I have it early on my notes. Edge and Christian are billed as brothers.
Yep.
Does that change?
Yes, and it changes at a really weird time. It's like 2011, and then randomly Matt Stryker is like, yeah, these two are friends. Like, no, what? They...
Yeah, they're like, we have a matchup of 2 sets of brothers here, and Gangrel. Like...
Yeah, so they were like brothers in storyline up until, like 2011, 2010. One thing I thought that was funny about Gangrel, he went to grab a ladder, and the ref was like, nah, get the fuck out of here.
They kicked him out. I have that in my notes. Where is it? Oh, yeah, it's actually the next note. How does a ref eject a manager from a ladder match ringside?
There are no rules, right?
Right.
If they thought that Gangrel was going to be fanging and banging against the rules, he shouldn't have been allowed there out in the first place. If he's out there...
There's no rules. It's a ladder match.
In 2 years, we're going to have TLC 2. And then shit's going to get crazy. Lita's going to get involved. Rhino's going to be there. Spike Dudley. No one got ejected. But here, this referee, I don't know. I think maybe Gangrel, he was fanging and banging this guy's wife. Jerry Lawler said that Terri Runnels' managerial services are more important than $100,000.
Yeah.
Because of what he saw.
So my next note here is Christian runs up a ladder to drop kick Jeff Hardy in the corner. I thought that was the first cool spot.
Yeah. Dude, the crowd was reacting crazy for spots off the second rung of the ladder. They would take small back bumps off there, and the crowd's going wild like they're in the pit in TNA.
Yeah, I imagine this is the first time we see something of this magnitude. If only these people knew what they get in the future.
Guys, you're going to see some Canadian destroyers off the top of some steel cages.
Even early, Edge has that spear off the rope.
And
that's
people were going wild for that.
Yeah.
At one point during this, they showed the camera shot from above the ring, and Jerry Lawler was so confused. He said, "Where the hell is that shot from?"
Yeah. He was they kept. JR was like, "That's a weird camera angle."
They kept. So this is probably the first time they ever used a camera hanging from the ring, and I think that's hilarious because AEW uses that today.
Yeah. Yeah, I have in my notes. I kept. Let's go back to that crazy angle.
They don't know what to call it.
The crazy angle's Jerry Lawler. That's the crazy angle.
Because Jerry Lawler said, "Where the hell is that shot from? It's still not as good as the shot I saw." Jerry, stop.
Jeff Hardy drop kicks Edge off of the ladder. The crowd went freaking wild.
Yeah.
It's oh my God, a drop kick off a ladder? What's happening here?
Did you notice that Jim Ross had some troubles differentiating all of 4 of these men? He was calling Christian Edge a lot, Christian.
Nothing has changed. How many years ago was 1999?
We need to give 2021 Jim Ross some slack. He was always like this, guys, all right?
Yeah, what is that, 13 years ago?
I think when the winning...
Or 12 years ago?
22 years ago.
20, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
I was 10 years off. 22 years ago, This man still just can't get it right.
Even
also,
like,
22 years later, these guys are still going at it.
All four of them of them are doing different things. Christian, he just main evented a major pay-per-view. Edge, he's wrestling in Saudi Arabia in a Hell in a Cell. Jeff Hardy, he's, losing. And Matt Hardy, has his own like stable that people enjoy. Do people like the Hardy family?
I don't know.
It's kind of hard to gauge that. The next spot I have, this is the simplest note that I have, Ted. I just say Matt's, all caps, crotch. So this is the spot where they set up the ladder to Matt Hardy, who is like sitting in the corner. They put the ladder at his crotch, and then Edge and Christian both drop kick each end of the ladder, just destroying him. That's also not the worst thing that Edge has ever done to Matt Hardy's crotch.
No.
Yeah. Also, not the worst thing he ever did to his heart. 5 years later, shit's gonna go down in his real life.
The next one I have is a swanton on a ladder, leapfrog over ladder. That's all just one sentence. The swanton was sweet. And they didn't even like make a big deal about it. It was almost like a picture-in-picture moment. And then Jeff leapfrogs a ladder, which that spot was really cool.
It was like, yeah, that spot was cool. But what about Terri's fucking services? What about her services? Those are cool.
JR says, we have 2 ladders. It's doubly dangerous.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny that they made a big deal about having 2 ladders.
2 ladders.
Wait 2 years from now. In like the year 2012, they're going to have a pay-per-view called TLC. There are going to be hundreds of ladders, all right? You're going to see a bunch of them.
The next one I have is Matt Hardy throws a ladder to knock down a ladder.
Yeah, they were really like innovative with all these spots.
Like they were just awesome ladders. Like at this point, they were just like, "Why are we jumping off? And we just throw them at each other."
Guys, we'll save so much time at the end of our careers if we just start throwing the ladders instead of jumping off of them.
Yes,
I've heard of like throwing everything at the wall. They're just throwing ladders now.
Okay, so the next note I have is the Jerry Lawler line that just sent me over the edge. It's not even the pay-per-view we're talking about, but
God.
this quote here, he says, "When she was high on that ladder, I looked up." Like the way he says it.
Yeah.
When she was high on that ladder, I looked up. Oh, the stakes are high. Like just the way he says it.
Do you think he's improvising this, or like the night before he started writing all this shit down?
I don't know, man.
How far ahead was this planned?
The way his voice trembles, he says, "I looked up." Like his voice
he's really
trembles.
Picturing it. It makes
like
me think they did this for shoot.
Yeah, I think he actually saw pussy that night. I think we get a twist of fate off of a ladder. They didn't even call it a twist of fate. I'm calling it that because that's just what I thought it was.
Oh, that's Stone Cold's move.
That's my best friend.
I went to his birthday party recently. We both wore hats.
Myself and Steve, we got balloon hands.
He went to blow out his candles. I went to throw his head into the cake, but I missed, and I I put my hand in the cake. I said, "Here, taste this," and then I put my hand in his face.
I said, "Happy birthday, Steve, you sick son of a bitch."
I called him J.R. Wisers,
Steve looked at me and he said, "What?"
It's like, whoa, we're not even
doing that. I
doing
looked at Jim
that
Ross and his beady little eyes.
I started the what? 3 years before.
Steve asked me a question. I said, "What?"
He said, "That's money." I'm gonna ruin wrestling. So this seesaw spot.
Every time Jerry Lawler says something, we just need Stone Cold's "what?"
What? Her services. What?
What?
They winked at me.
What? All right. So
when I saw them.
All right, so the next spot I have on here is Edge hip tosses Jeff Hardy over the ladder. He just, instead of yossing ladders, now he's yossing humans.
Yeah, I think that was Christian who did that. It doesn't matter. They're
Maybe
just
it was
two
Maybe
blonde people against two
long hair people.
broody people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a sick spot that like wasn't
Yeah.
really ever given much attention, and I don't think anyone has done that since. By the way,
He just threw him off.
I've never seen a hip toss from the top of the ladder. Like that shit must have sucked so bad that Jeff Hardy was like, "Guys, we're not doing that anymore. No one does that spot anymore. That shit sucked."
The next spot is the spot you were talking about, the catapult. I have on here Jeff Hardy's ass. That had to hurt his ass so bad. I have Jeff Hardy's ass on ladder, catapult, and then faces on ladder.
Yeah, so describing it perfectly.
Yeah, the catapult, and it hits it hit Edge and Christian in the face.
Yes, I think it may have hit Christian and Matt.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But so this is, I think they've only done this seesaw spot twice. This was the first time. And then the second time was the last time they did that. It was the Joey Mercury thing where his face exploded.
Exploded on impact.
Do you think if like Matt Hardy's face exploded in this, Jerry Lawler would still be like referencing Terry Runnels, what he saw? It's like,
absolutely.
Yeah, there was a really like beautiful line here. I think it was Jim Ross said, "These four men." I'm not going to do the accent. I know we were just doing the accent a second ago. "These four men look like they've been ejected from a car crash." I threw it in there at the very end.
Do they, Jim?
It was a really cool spot, or a cool line. I don't know. It's just different from the stuff that we've been hearing, you know?
Oh, yeah. So the next spot I have is actually the finish. They're all four on the ladder. Matt gets knocked off of his ladder, hits the rope into the ladder, sending Edge and Christian off, and Jeff jumping onto another ladder. Jeff grabs the money.
Yeah, it was a really just great, smooth, clean spot.
It was, yeah. When Matt falls off, he like hits into the rope, hits the ladder. Jeff is like wobbly, jumps off.
Yeah. So I have some questions. How many more matches after this were for money? Because that seems like a really like 90s thing, being like, yeah, and this match is also for $10,000.
Yeah.
Was it like after this they were like...
Probably not many.
Yeah, I can't really think of any others. I know this one, and then I think WrestleMania 1, there was that match. But I can't imagine after this they were like, and this match is also for $20. Like, I think...
We need more matches to be for money.
Yeah, I want AEW to start bringing back... I mean, they were doing that with... he was betting his car, right?
Yeah. But I just need like briefcase. I need sacks of money, not briefcases. I need... Also, there was not $100,000 in that sack.
No, I think it was just the visual representation of $100,000. I definitely heard JR say that.
Well, what the fuck is that? That looks like 43 cents and a stick of gum.
Where the fuck is the money at? What's in the bag? Yo, so I have
$100,000 on the regular. That shit looks like it's a pack of Skittles.
So when Jeff won this match, I heard, or do you remember those like WWF VHS tapes where it was there was one specifically called Eve of Destruction, and it went over like classic WWF matches like right after they happened. It was kind of sick. So this match was on that VHS, and it was just Edge, Matt, and Jeff and Christian, them like talking about the match while they were like playing clips of it. And Jeff, I remember specifically him saying he was trying to pull it and it wasn't coming out. I don't know if this was the kayfabe thing, because now I'm starting to realize maybe like these VHS tapes were made for children. And I don't know if that was the kayfabe or for shoot, but he was trying to pull the money out, like the bag off of it, and it wasn't coming out. So he thought, well, if I just throw my body off of this, it must come out. So that's how that's how it happened. There's that classic spot of him just falling off the fucking ladder. And I think that was used for like the video games for like the longest time, right?
That's interesting because I was definitely like, what's okay? He just fell.
Yeah, because I don't think that's a bump that anyone has ever taken other than this right here. But I remember specifically in the video games, they were like, that looks cool. Let's just, when they win a championship or anything, they're going to jump off the ladder.
The ending of this segment, I'm hoping you saw it.
Yup.
They go to do they just start making out with Terri and drinking wine?
It was weird. It was champagne. So they're just like celebrating. They got champagne everywhere. Everyone's having fun. Then they just start making out with Terri. Like,
these men are shoot brothers.
Where are they from? They're from
North Carolina.
North Carolina. No, that night they were from Paris, France, because they were looking at the Eiffel Tower.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my god!
Why did Jerry Lawler not say that one?
Oh my god! I didn't like saying that.
That was great.
No, it was bad. That was stupid. That was
funnier than anything King said all night.
I appreciate that. That was that match. I've got some reviews. John Powell of Slam Wrestling said that the tag match between the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian overshadowed the main event match between Triple H and Steve Austin. He called the match astonishing and claimed it brought the crowd to their feet. Specifically, he claimed that both the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian, quote, were the future of the Federation and deserved a hefty raise. The Fed. Also, okay, so going back to the main event of Triple H versus Steve Austin, that's an anything goes match. How many anything goes matches?
That's what it was billed as?
Yes, anything goes. How many more of those were there after this? Because I've never heard that before.
Guarantee 0.
They tried this and they were like, well, it was a flop, so we didn't do the anything goes match gimmick anymore. Well, the namesake of this is looking at how Meltzer rated it. He gave it 4.5 stars. Ted, I think this is the part of the show where we each give a rating and then we combine those ratings to give our That Humble Wrestling work rate official rating. What do you think? This is our first time doing it, so we're just kind of ironing out the kinks. I think we're gonna find something we like to do.
Yes. So I think you and I should both be in the mindset that this was the first of its kind. You know, we have to put our minds in 1999, and we have to judge accordingly. Because if I was the judge now, I'd give it like a 4. Because of just everything we've seen already. I'm putting myself in 1999, and I'm going to go 5. I have to give it a 5. This match was the first of its kind. Commentary aside, just the spots itself, good storytelling. I think this match is a 5.
Okay, so before I give my rating, is that the precedent we're setting? Are we going to be viewing these from the time of the year, or are we putting them through the eyes of today? Because those, you're like you said, 2 different ratings.
Right. I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna throw a number out. You said 5. It was good. It was really good. It was really good.
Maybe we. Well,
in 2021, when I watched that, because we've seen some crazier stuff, but they were still doing great spots. Jerry Lawler was on something that night.
Whew.
You know what? I'll give it a 4 1/4. How's that?
4.25.
4.25. You got a 5 right there.
Yeah. I won't double down.
So what is that? Is that 4.66? Is that did we get that right?
Yeah.
All right, that's the official That Humble rating. We're giving this match a 4.66. Dave Meltzer was wrong. 4.66 for that ladder match for the managerial services of Terry Runnels. Ted.
Services.
This was work rate Any final thoughts when it comes to this No Mercy match?
It was a roller coaster of emotions. Also, let me mention, when you guys watch the video that we're making now, the one you've been watching for the past couple minutes, leave in the description below what you'd like us to re-rate. Go online, see what matches are over 4 stars, because we're not wasting our time.
I'm not wasting my time watching some trash.
Yeah. Anything that's over 4 stars, leave in the comments below. You want to see us re-rate, if you will, and show Meltzer who the real boys are.
I'm Jordan at Jordan_Verge on Twitter. That is Ted at TedGITD. We'll see you.